everyone. Welcome to the Swirl Suite. I am Sarita. You can follow me at Find Me Up on all social media. You can follow the Swirl Suite on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And you can follow all of our episodes on YouTube or as a podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and Google Play. It's me and Tanisha today. What's up, girl?
What's up? And what else? Hope
you
we're enough.
and you are bright and shiny.
Yeah.
And what time is it in Paris?
It's 3.
Mm, my God, bless your
It's
soul.
3.
You
Right.
are, you are such a champion. I really appreciate you.
Hashtag
Yeah,
dedication.
yeah.
Hashtag loyalty. Hashtag yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So, what's been going on? Your Instagram has been popping. You've been rocking these tours. What is good?
Thank you. So, yeah, I had my second trip to Champagne in a few days. Today I was in Reims, which spelled like Reims, but
Mm-hmm.
now I know the proper pronunciation,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not Reims. Like
Wait,
we
say
had
it one
been
more time so I can say it back to you.
Reims,
Oh,
Reims,
Reims. Hans.
Reims.
Hans.
So think of it like it's that French R,
Sure.
and then instead of because it's spelled Reims,
Right. I've
but
always
it's
said
actually
rings.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what I've said till I heard them say it. And it's like, oh, wait, so we're just going to ignore that M and the
Okay. Got it.
EI has a difference.
Hans.
Okay, well, that's
Okay.
fine.
Got it. All right.
So, yeah, and we did tasting at GH Martel. That was the first one, and 3 glasses there. Then had lunch. Then went to GH Mum, which is German, by the way. The GH is for George Herman.
Okay.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's founded by a German guy.
Sure.
And did their tour and tasting. And then they have a cool tasting there. What I got for my clients at Mum was they have a like an the nose, the smell experience. I can't think of what the word is. It the fancy word for it.
Okay.
But they put some aromas on. They put some aromas on the stick, and then you could
Uh-huh.
smell them. And you had to
Ooh.
guess those. And then those were found in the wine.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's fantastic, yeah.
And so, and let's explain the difference because there is a Mums in California, correct? And they
Yes,
also make
and
sparkling.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one with the pure champagne
Mm-hmm.
with the red line across it, the red
Okay.
diagonal.
Okay.
And they are like very hardcore about their red. And the
Mm-hmm.
woman had on a red sash. They gave us the tour,
Oh,
and their cordon
wow.
rouge is
Mm.
their signature. Facility is amazing. And then from there, had a private wine and cheese tasting,
Mm.
where those were delicious. Um, 2 cows cheeses and a goat cheese,
Mm.
outstanding.
Wow.
Paired with the Marsan Roussan blend is
Mm-hmm.
the wine that he poured for us, and
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
we had the cheese. And then we went back to the train station, had a coffee, and came
Wow.
on back to Paris.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. So, how do people find you?
People find me at girlmeetsclass.com,
Mm-hmm.
and then on every social media
Okay.
at Girl Meets
And
Class.
if they want
Yeah,
to tour, do they just go to your website, send your email? Do they DM you? How are they finding you for the tours?
all of those things.
Oh, really? That's
Yes,
awesome.
all of those things. Yeah,
Mm.
and I'm also getting a lot of people through word of mouth.
Mm. Okay.
But then there have definitely been some slide in the DMs. I
Uh-huh.
mean, it's no business. I appreciate it. I was about to say something crazy, but God, we're talking business.
Girl,
So yeah,
it's 3 a.m. in Paris,
I
and
know
you woke up for the show. You can say whatever the
I'm
hell you want.
slightly
Seriously.
delirious, but no.
Seriously. Mm.
But no, you can find me. You can slide in the DMs if that's what you want. But
Got you. And do you have like a flat like price sheet, or you work with people's budgets?
I work with people's
Oh,
budgets.
that's nice.
Because the day trips to Champagne, since that's a day that
Mm-hmm.
does cost more,
Mm-hmm.
or if people aren't quite ready for me
Mm-hmm.
to accompany them, then I can just plan their trip for them, make the
Oh,
appointments, give them a
okay.
map, tell them where to go, what to do, set it
Mm.
all up. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, that isn't as as if I'm right there, like, okay, taste this, taste it
Mm-hmm.
like this, swirl it like this is what you should get. But I mean, it's still,
That's what's up. That's awesome. That's great. And this is what you envisioned when you moved there, correct?
when I got the vision of doing the tours and things here, this is how I
Mm-hmm.
envisioned it. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
I mean, you're living a fucking dream. It's nothing better than that. That's awesome.
So I am not gonna complain. It took a
Okay.
second to get here,
Sure.
low, but yeah. And so now I'm just gonna keep working, keep plugging at it, keep promoting myself,
Mm-hmm.
keep staying active on social media so
Yeah.
people know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Because we always talk about this. I'm like, oh my goodness, we like the best things going that nobody knows about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a matter of people just knowing. And you never know who is gonna be that one person that can send you
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to like,
Yeah.
oh, now you popping.
Yeah.
Everybody know. And it's usually just like one thing, one person, one moment, one
Mm-hmm.
experience, one,
Absolutely. Yeah.
something. So you
That's
just have to
awesome.
go through like 100 other things to get to that one. That's what people are like, oh wow, look, they, look, no one to sing. No, ain't nobody new.
That's
I've been doing
amazing.
these English tours over here for a minute, so
um,
but
I have
yeah.
something very random to talk about just for a few minutes. So I
Okay.
was listening to this girl's podcast, right? And she was talking about taking her braids out. So she said, yeah, and she had the I think she had the faux locks or whatever.
Okay.
And she said, yeah, so I took my faux locks or whatever and I took them out and y'all have to form a prayer circle around me to save my edges because they are gone. And I was like,
No.
So her edges are gone, and then she took her braids out. She cut them too short when she was
Oh,
taking them out, so she could actually cut some of her hair.
yeah,
So
that
let me tell you,
happens. It's hard.
I
Yeah.
just wanna I got a testimony really quick. I don't
Oh,
wear braids for this
for
exact
that reason.
reason because I've had them twice. First time it went very well. Then I got them. I get them in the summer. I used to get them in the
Hmm.
summer when I was 18 and 19. So got them first time. They were cute. I can put them up, flip them, lay them down. It was all
Right?
good. And I was like, oh, this gonna be my summer thing. Got them the next summer. Oh, it didn't. It didn't work out as well. I
They're
don't.
playing with.
Yeah. So they stripped my edges a little bit, and like my
Oh,
hair broke off. And I was like, well, let's hang up those braids. That's it.
right.
That's
Like,
it.
listen,
That's
we
it.
finna take these shoes
Mm-mm.
down.
No, and
Yeah.
because and luckily I was young and youthful and able to grow them back. But
Okay.
some people don't get that second chance, and it's a
They
concern.
don't.
It's a
And
concern.
also, some people aren't as in tune to their hair,
Uh
and
huh.
they don't pay as much attention.
Mhm.
So they'll take the braids out and
Mhm.
put braids back in or
Ooh.
put tracks back in.
Mm-mm.
So it's like, and if
Mm-mm.
you don't do it, like you have your stylist,
Mhm.
take the braids out or take the weave
Yeah.
out and then put another one right back in.
Oh my
And
god.
so, then you a year later and you look, you're like, oh.
Yeah. People,
Um,
your hair, your head, it needs a break. However you
yeah,
decide to give it that break, it needs to be
yeah.
oiled. It needs to
And the
be
thing that's
oiled.
tough though, like once you notice it, like if
Mhm.
it's a low down the line, like you can't help but make it worse because you're like, okay,
Mhm.
now I don't have any
Mhm.
edges, so
Yeah.
I can't be seen with my edges not flourishing. So
Right.
let me put some more things on top of this
Oh
until I
my
try to get
gosh.
my edges back or
Mhm.
just cover it up.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
just kind of exacerbating the
No, it
problem.
pulled those braids. It wasn't even. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough for other people to notice and say, "Oh, girl, you took your braids out, huh? Oh, okay. Yeah, it pulled your
Oh.
hair out a little bit. Thanks. Oh, I noticed. I'm aware. Never
I'd be like,
again.
wait, how cool
Never
are we?
again."
Like, who walks up and says these kind of
It didn't
things?
matter. I mean, people were concerned. I mean, I could have. had an illness. I don't fucking know, but they definitely
Right. And then I
they
would
said
have
something to
listened.
me.
And if it was
Yeah,
somebody that, you know, I
yeah,
felt a way about, I would have acted
yeah.
like I was ill. I'd have been like, oh, do you just walk up and say that? I was like,
Mhm.
you don't know what I'm going
Yeah.
through in my life. You don't know
Mhm.
what's happening.
It's
You don't know
okay.
what my doctor said about this, do
Yeah,
you?
it's okay. They knew, and I knew, and it was a problem. So I won't have braids, and I like them. I think they're gorgeous. People who wear them are awesome. They're so
Yeah.
pretty, and they're
But it depends
so
on your type of hair,
easy.
and you
Yeah,
need to know your type of hair. If you have
yeah.
like a thin,
Mhm.
fine hair,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
braids are too heavy and too
Yeah.
rough.
Yep.
It doesn't matter
So
what kind they are.
yeah. So that was that. That was my small little rant. But I was listening to this girl, and she just didn't seem very concerned. I mean, she's a little younger than me, but I'm like, damn, you not even. Okay, you just gonna pray on it and it'll work out. Okay, got it. So
Listen,
now
she
she's
might
so
be
now
taking some biotin and some
you
hair,
right.
skin, and nail
So now she
vitamins.
wearing
Oh,
wigs.
no.
So yeah,
Hey,
yeah. So she gonna bounce back. I'm sure she'll bounce back, yeah, like I did, like I
tomorrow's gonna bounce back. Right. We're gonna keep our fingers crossed for that, because
did.
nobody want to be out here bogus.
You right. You
Like,
right.
where your edges, girl?
Girl, child.
2 years ago. Yeah, you
I'm
don't want your
sorry.
story to start like that.
I had to bury him. They gone. So we have a special guest today. His name is Keith Beavers, and he's a wine educator out of New York. And he's going to talk with me and Tanisha about how long he's been in the industry, how he got started, and how he taught himself wine.
Restaurant for 10 years, and I spent my career learning about wine and then deciding to actually teach what I've learned in a way that was not um, the style in which you would get in a classroom, but more of a style with like East Village t-shirts and
Mm.
just kind of fun, laid back, kind of on I'm like you guys style. So that's really it. I'm just an obsessed wine geek who's been for over a decade now trying to do everything in wine, and just that's all I ever want to do.
Hmm.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, can you describe what you did to teach yourself about wine? Are you one of those genius people who have an amazing palate and it's something that you're born with, and you can pick up everything? You just picked up everything
Hmm.
quickly. Like, what did you do, and how long did it take you?
I am a genius. No, it wasn't. It's weird. I fell in love with wine. The story, I mean, I fell in love with wine. I was working at a trattoria in the East Village, and the owner of the restaurant, for some reason, out of nowhere one day, before our shift, was like, everybody, before you get on shift, my friend Beppe Filippetti is going to teach you guys about wine. We're like, all right. So we for 30 minutes, this guy who became my wine mentor just taught us about wine. And I didn't really know what was going on, but when it was over, I had written everything down.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through my shift just constantly thinking about what I had just experienced. And when my shift ended, I was hanging out at the bar. We could have a glass of wine, and the shift meal.
Mm-hmm.
Beppe was still there, and he comes up to me. He's like, "I think you're really into this wine thing." Very heavy Italian accent,
Mm-hmm.
Piemontese guy. I'm like, "I really am," and he's like, I think you're really going to get into this. I just have a feeling. And so he popped this specific bottle of wine from Italy, 1996, Paternoster Don Anselmo Aglianico from Voltore, which is in the Basilicata, in the southern part of Italy. And we shared this bottle, and I was like, this is it. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I'm going to do anything else. I had other things going on in my life. I come from the music industry, and I was working in a studio here in New York City, and then the studio went under, and then I was looking for another job in the music industry, and then September 11th happened, and
Okay.
everything changed. That was a crazy time. You're like, you start thinking about your life and like
Mm-hmm.
burden and all that,
Sure.
and I'd never gone to college, so I started going to college. I'm like, maybe I'll be an English teacher, maybe I'll be a history teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and through that, I got a job at this restaurant, which led into me just getting into wine. So it was a weird, happy accident that I got into wine, but by no
Wow.
things that I have the money to do the sommelier thing or even the CT. So all I really did was just buy as much wine and learn as much as I could through
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
just reading books, tasting wine, making friends with sommeliers that I knew in the city, and
That's actually the best way. Yes.
yeah, asking them
stuff.
like, what are you reading? I mean, I know I can't have your books because you spent X amount of dollars on it. You're not gonna.
I was to ask for him, like, can I just let me hold it, like the library. Let me sign it out.
For a second, like, oh, chapter 3, I'll be right back.
Right.
But, yeah, so I started reading and learning, and then I started a blog called the East Village Wine Geek. This is back in the day where you could write a blog post that was like 8-9 paragraphs long, and people would read it. It was when they called them weblogs.
Yeah, not today.
Not today. It's 140 characters and nothing at all.
So anything more than 2 paragraphs, I can't do this.
Second sentence, you're like, oh, I'm done.
Right? Does it taste good? Where does it say that? Scroll.
Where's the picture? Oh, that's all I need.
Yes.
Right.
So what I did was I started doing all that, and then I realized very quickly in New York City that I was very upset with the state of the wine shop retail industry in New York. As a young, budding wine geek, I would have issues because I didn't have money. So I would go to wine shops and I would spend what I could. I would buy a bottle of wine. I would go home. I would drink it, dissect it, research it, put it back together, and write about it. And as I went to wine shops across the city, I found that I wasn't being treated like I'd like to be treated. I was like, if I wasn't spending a lot of money, they didn't want to talk to me. If I didn't buy the right wines, and some, I saw there were issues with wine. This is like, gosh, when was this? 2003, 2000. I was like, something needs to happen. There needs to be a wine shop in this city where every wine is below $20, and it's all good, and the environment is welcoming. Maybe there's some chairs, maybe there's a coffee table, there's some good music, maybe there's a subwoofer behind that.
It sounds like heaven. Where is this place? Where can I find this utopia?
So I had hired this kid when I was running this restaurant. I ended up the restaurant I worked at that I got into wine, that guy opened a wine bar, and I ended up working at that wine bar, and then I ended up managing that wine bar, and then I ended up hiring people for that wine bar, and I hired this kid named David, and him and I became friends, and I told him about this vision that I had. I want to have a wine shop that's comfortable and welcoming and fun and good. Like, just, it's wine, it's fermented grape juice, man. It takes a human hand to make it beautiful, but damn it, it's wine. And this kid's like, I'll help you open a wine shop. I'm like, all right. It literally took 3 minutes of a conversation to make this happen. He's like, give me a calculator. He's like, can you get a loan for this much money? I'm like, yeah, this is like pre-recession. I'm like, sure. We started opening a wine shop called Alphabet City Wine Company over on Avenue C in 2007. And when that was happening, we were waiting for our liquor license. The owner of the restaurant was like, I'm selling the place. And then I was like, oh, wow, how are we going to make our money while we're waiting for our liquor license? And then David, my partner, had some investing friends, and he's like, well, why don't we buy the restaurant? I'm like, no.
Wow.
Like, you trying to get me in all kind of shenanigans. David, not your friend.
A wine shop and a restaurant?
Like,
David, not your friend.
Wine shop, please. So one Saturday night, it was busy in the restaurant. I was behind the bar. I was doing my thing. And he comes back, and he comes into work that night. He's like, I talked to my investor people. He's like, we should buy this restaurant. I'm like, no, we shouldn't do that. He's like, he laid it out for me. I'm like, 1, 2, 3. All right, let's do it. Didn't know what we were doing. Had no clue what we were doing. So we opened a wine shop and bought a restaurant.
Wow.
Okay. And talked to each other. And I literally learned wine that way. I started owning things and learning wine that way. And then as I learned, I started teaching people. So I answer any questions? Am I just rambling here?
Oh no, you're
No,
answering the
you're
questions.
good.
We're amazed.
Yeah,
We're
right.
amazed.
I'm like, I guess I do need a David in my life. Let me go. Because David just making things happen. He's like, we should open a wine bar.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the money. Wait, what? Oh, I know some investor people. What? Do
Yeah.
you? What? How do you?
No. He was the calculator. I was the geek, and you know.
Yeah,
Now,
see, I need a calculator in my life. I'm
Right,
the
right.
part. I don't have it. I need a calculator. Or somebody to be like, maybe you should do these things. And then voila.
Yeah, the shop's still there. I live 2 minutes from it. It's right
What?
over there.
That's convenient.
That's
And
great.
yeah, I don't own it anymore. I sold my shares back in 2014 to concentrate on the restaurant. And David and I are still friends. And I had the restaurant for another 2 years on my own, and then I sold it last year. And I now don't do brick and mortar anymore. That was a good 10 years. It was a fun decade.
Wow.
But I'm not doing that anymore. So
Yeah, brick and mortar is tough.
it is, especially at this point right now in New York. Everything's a bit weird in New York.
Yeah, I think it's weird everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
The world is weird.
yeah.
The world is weird.
Yeah.
Wine is cool. The world is weird.
I know that's
Yeah.
great.
Mhm.
Wine is cool. I mean, I'm actually thinking of wine. I'm gonna have a. Hope you guys don't mind. I'm gonna have a glass of wine. Oh,
Yeah.
Please do, and please tell us what it is.
Exactly.
Tell us
What are you drinking?
I'm having something really cool. A friend of mine in the industry. I have a lot of friends that sell wine, and my friend Eric Thorner works for Palm Bay Imports, and Palm Bay is one of the largest, wine distributors in the country. And this is a wine called Au Contraire. Au Contraire. So this is a wine developed by the Taub family, who basically own Palm Bay. David Taub was he was kind of the guy that brought Cavit to the American market.
Ah, okay.
We're all like,
He's the one who kind of introduced Americans to this thing called Pinot Grigio.
Oh, ooh.
okay.
And so he died, I think he passed away in 2012 at the age of 77. But his family's still doing their thing, and they have a bunch of vineyards out in California. And this is a California Pinot Gris, which is basically Pinot Grigio.
Mm-hmm.
And the grapes are sourced from a few areas in California. It's not from one space. But it's stainless steel, it's fun, it's clean, it's cool, and it's incredibly affordable. I think it's like $14 a bottle. Screw cap.
Nice.
Good stuff, yeah.
Nice. Oh, can I show y'all what I'm drinking today? So
Please.
No, we just want to talk to Keith.
No, if you've been on my Instagram, then you've seen what I'm drinking already. So this is Guggenheim Malbec Bubbles.
Oh, that Malbec Rosé.
Oh my God, Malbec Rosé, and look at this color. It is gorgeous.
Oh,
Wow.
Right. So usually when you get a Malbec that's a rosé, it's usually like this dark cherry red, usually high alcohol. You have to have food with it because it's so sharp and so.
yeah.
But this is good. This
Wait
is
a
so good.
Malbec Rosé is delicious.
This is
I guess just since the
wonderful.
grape is thicker skinned and heavy, like you can
Right.
get a lot of flavor in a rosé.
Mm-hmm. But this
Absolutely.
was macerated for 72 hours, stainless steel, and this is Mendoza, Argentina. Yeah, and
Come through with the
it's so
stats.
good.
Macerated 72
Okay,
It's
I'm
so
having
good.
serious wine envy right now.
Mhm.
But how much does that cost? Like $20?
No, this is $14.
I'm say, blow his mind, Sarita.
$14.
Gosh,
And this
that's-
is
You could have had it at your wine bar.
This is the distributor is the country vintner, so it's all over. It's all over the place. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I'm consulting at a wine shop on 3rd Avenue right now, and I am grabbing that.
This
That
is so good. It's
such a-
really, really good. This is my favorite wine this summer. It's good. It's very
I mean,
good.
Malbec. That's the right way to do a Malbec sparkling
Right.
rose. 72-hour maceration, not letting the anthocyanin just like goop it up and
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yes.
Awesome. Is how's in Paris? Is something going on in Paris? Is there any? You're like, I'm not drinking. I'm gonna be sleeping soon.
Yeah, I'm drinking water. So not drinking now, but earlier today I actually do a wine tour. So I took a group to France in Champagne, and so we did a champagne tour. We went to Martel and Mum, and then we did a little private tasting of some wine and cheese.
That's the thing about French wine is, I find that one of the things that's why we have to educate people, because the beauty of the French is their idea of terroir. They created that, which has no other translation in any other language. We speak one sense of place, and the whole reason why the blends aren't on the labels is because the French are like, hey, it's not about the blend. It's not a percentage of this or a percentage of that. It's about the terroir. It's about what I'm trying to give you. But we're Americans. We're a Rubik's Cube nation. We're like, wait a second. Red has to line up with the red. And it's like, oh, but wait, is there 80% of Merlot in there? Or well, if there is that going to change your mind?
Right.
Yeah. So you're right, and it doesn't, because y'all don't really know what y'all doing anyway. So just buy it.
But Languedoc's doing the Languedoc-Roussillon, and from what I've experienced, in parts of the Petit Chateau, like the other 95% of Bordeaux that makes great wine, it's not expensive. They're starting to put the blends on there to kind of educate.
Yeah, they're being a little more helpful. It's not necessarily legal, depending on AOC, AOP, to put it on the front. But for people who really want to know, or people who really care, like, there are a lot of them that are starting to put the blends on the back. Yeah.
Right.
Or just stick to drinking Alsatian wines where the grape is on the front, and then, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
All the Riesling you want for your life. There you go.
I can't pronounce that. Gewürztraminer.
I tell people to just say I say, to say Gewürz. And then they're like, but what if I can't say that? I'm like, say that French wine with the G that I can't pronounce. If they don't know what you're talking about, then you need to exit that wine shop immediately.
Exactly.
Because clearly you're in the wrong place.
Right.
So, Keith, I have a question for you. So, I discovered you years ago when you were doing YouTube videos.
Wow.
Yeah, in your shop.
Oh, my gosh, really?
Yeah. So, what made you come over to the podcast world?
So, wow. I've tried this for years, all different things. So, like, I started with the blog, right? I started the blog, and the blogs became over. I mean, I was one of the wine bloggers in New York, with some friends. They had bloggers, like Tyler Coleman had his Dr. Vino, and we all would hang out, stuff like that. But, Tyler had not two businesses to run, so he had, or maybe, Tyler, I love you. But, he was able to bring Dr. Vino into another space and utilize and do something with it. I was blogging and running two businesses at the same time.
Wow.
And then I started the video blog thing because at some point my business partner and I, we had to start separating responsibilities, and I started spending more time at the wine shop. He started spending more time at the restaurant, and at the time I was like, I want to start doing videos because I went to I have a degree in recording engineering. Oh. And when I moved to New York City, I had a job in audio post-production. So I was doing, I had the know-how to
know what to do.
I know how to edit video. I know how to creatively do all that stuff. So I decided to just take it on myself. Now, at the time, there's this dude named Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, I was about to ask you, have you ever been
I was going to say, who?
Yeah.
What?
Crush it!
Well, who's this guy you're talking about?
So Gary, Gary had a lot more resources than I did, and I was doing what I was doing on a very, very small scale. I had like a really shitty camera, and I had iMovie, and that's all I had. And I had like sound effects, and I would actually, I'm a musician, so I would make the music and stuff for the video. It was fun, but when Gary and we tried to collaborate at one point, it didn't work out, and he kind of took over the video. He took over the video thing pretty quickly, and it was very hard to compete in that realm. I mean, props to Gary. He's like what he's doing now is multimedia stuff, multi-million-dollar whatever.
Sure.
He's got his thing
Yeah.
going on. But unfortunately, when he moved away from the wine thing, there was really no space at the time.
Oh, okay.
So what happened was I've always tried to bring wine education to people in any form that I could figure out how to do it. Whether it was a blog, a video. A friend of mine, a very good friend of mine, Adam Teeter, who's the CEO now of a website called vinepair.com, which is
Okay.
website.
Familiar. Mm-hmm.
Him and I have been friends for years. Actually, I started teaching him and his friends wine at my restaurant
Hold
years
on,
ago.
Hold on. You taught.
He just dropped that like,
wait,
yes, I started teaching him wine.
I'm going to bring that receipt back up. You taught the creator of Vine Pair about wine. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, this is a great story. So
we're listening.
So I'm in California with my wife. It's my first time in California. I'm an East Coast guy. I never left Maryland. I was in Maryland for a long time and never got out of the country. I didn't even leave the country until I was married and went on my honeymoon in Italy in 2005. 2005. I was out in California with my wife, and my business partner calls up and he's like, "Hey, there's a couple, Adam and Naomi. They want someone to teach them wine. They can see our restaurant from their bedroom." I'm like, "Okay," and he's like, "So I said you could teach them." I'd never taught wine in my life. I was like, "All right, dude, I'll be back in like 3 days." So I get back to New York, and on a Saturday at 1 p.m., Adam, his girlfriend, now his wife, and 19 of their friends show up.
What?
Yeah, and I sit them down at my empty restaurant on a Saturday before we opened because we didn't do brunch.
Oh, I would have fainted.
And I sat and I did my first wine class ever. I'm like, "Okay, guys, so red, white, maceration, fermentation, brr, brr, brr." And it went off really well, and Adam and Naomi and all their friends and I continued to do this for, I think, 4 years.
Wow.
I think maybe not 4 years, but a long time. Every Saturday, once a month, all their friends, Adam and Vino, learning about wine. Adam and I became very good friends, and we ended up doing a concert series at my little restaurant. The restaurant, Vino, my restaurant in Vino, is 900 square feet. It's all concrete. It looks like a cave in Basilicata in southern Italy. We would take all the chairs, all the tables out. This is like right before the recession, right after the recession. This is when this weird sort of like hey ya music was coming out of Williamsburg, like hey yeah, whatever. And we would and Adam was actually working for some record label. So he would get bands that come into our restaurant, and we would get in touch with winemakers who would come to our restaurant. Wow. And we did this. It was called Vivo and Vino, and it was really beautiful. I had this idea. We thought about this. There's that beautiful picture of Jimi Hendrix, who is a god. There's a beautiful picture of him somewhere. I don't know where the hell he is, but he's standing in a room playing his guitar. I'm sorry, left. He's playing guitar. All these people just sitting Indian style, just surrounding him. It's like there's no drummer. Mitch Mitchell's not there. Like there's no drummer. It's just him, just like rocking out, and just all these hippies just chilling out around him, just watching him with just absolute reverence. And I was like, that's what this needs to be. So we had this whole. So what we would do is we decided that wine and music are both creative, and we can actually ask questions to a winemaker, the same question to a musical.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So what we would do is we would sell tickets, and people would come in. The winemaker would provide the wine, and we would have that wine only for that night. And the ticket included a free glass of each wine the winemaker had on offer, and 2 sets of band. So the band would come in. The winemaker would introduce themselves. The winemaker would introduce their wines, and then the winemaker would introduce the band. The band would play a set. And then between sets, Adam and I would get up and we would ask a question to the winemaker, creative question, and that same question to the artist. It was such a beautiful, and we
I like it.
we wish we could have been doing it for years. We tried to find other venues, but the recession just changed everything. So Adam and I were now creative buddies. We're like, what are we gonna do next?
Right.
Adam and I almost had a television show. He knew some producers in LA.
What?
And Adam and I embarked on this journey. We tried to get on the Food Network. We tried to get on Travel Channel. This is right before like everyone was like, YouTube's the next big thing. That never happened.
Oh, yeah.
But there was that moment where like TV was like scared about YouTube.
Yeah.
But we did a sizzle reel. Him and I, we went out to the Hamptons and did a pool party with the cameras and all this stuff. And
Goodbye.
he was going to be the producer. They were like Keith is like Anthony Bourdain for wine. It was like this. We came so close to getting the show, but apparently it was going to be on the Cooking Channel. But the problem was they had just greenlit some beer show, so they didn't take us. So now this is where it all happens. At this point, Adam and I have like our creative juices. We're kind of starting to run low on fuel here. And I'm like, yo, man, I got to concentrate on my businesses. I mean, this is all while I had these two businesses.
Oh my God.
And it's like Adam, the record label closed down or whatever. Something happened to the record label. So Adam's like, well, I'm going to figure something out. I want to do something. So Adam, I kept on doing my businesses. And Adam and his friend and my friend, Josh Malin, they decided to create this website called VinePair. And they brought me on as the first writer. And I've been writing for VinePair since 2013. Wow. And they've grown and grown and grown, and they're now VinePair. So, yeah, Adam's my boy. Like, I love him to death. And he's VinePair has sent me to Italy, to France. I've been, they really, it's pretty amazing. So, yeah. So, and so Adam, they were the first people I taught wine to. And I've always, going back to the whole podcasting, I've always wanted to teach people wine. It's all I ever wanted to do. I just want to take it, and I want to teach what I know. I'm not certified in anything. Love wine.
Talk to us, Keith. Yes.
I love it so much that I just want to teach what I've learned. I don't want you to walk away from one of my things, whether it's a class or a podcast, going, Keith's really smart. I don't care about that. I want you to walk away saying, I learned something. Who's I don't know who was talking. I don't remember who was talking. I learned about maceration today, and that's what I've always wanted to do. So with Adam and I have always tried to find different caveats, different avenues to make that happen. Adam found VinePair. I did the whole VinePair thing. I'm still doing it to this day. When I sold my shares at the wine shop and started doing the restaurant full time, 2 years. Do you see these gray hairs? Do you see the gray? Yeah, that's called restaurant ownership in New York City. After 2 years, I was like, I can't do this anymore. The neighborhood's changing, the city's changing. I had to stop. And I just decided brick and mortar wasn't my thing. Because the thing is, like, I bought a restaurant and I opened a wine shop. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I realized 10 years later that what I really love to do is talk to people about wine. Sure. So my wife and I were in Cape Cod last year, and on the drive home, she listens. She's an artist. She spends so much time in her studio. She listens to podcasts all day long. She's like, let's listen to some podcasts. So I'm listening to podcasts. I'm like, wait a second.
Light bulb.
This is awesome.
Exclamation point. This exclamation point.
Long time. I hope if I start doing this, people care. So I have a recording engineering degree. I know how to do this stuff.
Voila, there it is.
I have microphones and stuff. I can do equalizing and stuff. I can do it. So,
oh yeah, yours could be like super, like the most professional of them all. Well, some people just be like record and stop.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Upload.
Listen, I just got a mic this year, so anyway.
I was listening to what was that last? You guys had the last not Andre, my buddy Andre, but the one before that you had
Selena Cuff?
Yeah, that was great. Listening to her doing that, she's like, yeah, so I learned it was not that hard to do. And it really is. I was like, it's not that hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, fortunately, I had a little bit of background, so I was like, I'm gonna do this. It was also therapy because I was selling a restaurant. I actually was doing tasting. I was doing classes. Wine School was actually a class. I had a tasting room in Midtown. I lost the tasting room. Oh, good. This happens. Believe me, being a business owner in New York, nothing faces me anymore. And the podcast started out as kind of therapy. It was like everything I've ever taught anybody about wine, I can put into a recorded form that will be forever, and people can access whenever they want. Mm-hmm. And it started out as something just to kind of get me through the day. And I'm now 61 episodes in, and I don't know who's listening, but it's fun. I really love doing it. I just suck it, Mm-hmm. So, did I talk too long there?
No, that's awesome.
No, that was perfect.
Yeah, that really was. So I have a question. And I was very honest on Instagram this week because I was trying to figure out, because we've had some hit and miss guests on this show. I'm not going to call anybody out, but we've just had some real hit and miss.
I will. No, I'm kidding.
But how do you, and you have guests on your show all the time, how do you know that a guest is going to be good for your show and your listeners?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I do is, because I hope this doesn't sound like egotistical, but I've been in the industry for a long time.
Sure.
And I know a lot of people. And okay, let me just say this. I've owned businesses. I'm a very sensitive bullshit meter. Okay. And I've hired and fired. I've done I can fortunately and unfortunately, I can sense immediately a personality that will or will not work.
Okay.
Because of
you need that discernment.
Right. When I had employees, I knew immediately that I was going to fire an employee. It may have taken me months to fire that person.
Right.
I knew, it's like I just know, and that's kind of part of it. But the thing is, like, one thing I've always tried to do is if I have a guest who's not right, which I've actually recorded people I'm not putting on my podcast. I'm just like, this is not cool. I'm Lo Siento. This is not happening. Au contraire.
I like that though. Sometimes you just gotta, you put in the work, but then you gotta scrap it, and be okay with that.
Right.
What you think? This is what I think about my podcast. I'm hoping this is very, delusion of grandeur or not. I want my podcast to be listened in all 50 states. I want people in Arkansas to go, this is really good. I like Chardonnay. I know the history of it, and now Keith told me I'm going to drink some Chardonnay. I want to do it unoaked. I won't make on.
Come through Chardonnay. Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that. Put a pin in Chardonnay. We're gonna talk about that again in a second.
But, I want everyone to know. So whenever I choose a guest or something, whenever I choose a subject matter, the first thing I think, and this is what VinePair has always been about. When Adam started VinePair and I started writing for VinePair, it's tough because you live in a place like New York City, you have access to more than a lot of people do. You have to be humble about it. You'd be like, yo, I'm going to be talking about something that not everybody is going to have access to. So I make sure that if I'm talking about something, I need to make sure that a lot of the times when I talk about wine, I don't talk about specific, go out and buy this brand, go out and buy it. Because I don't know.
Tough. Yep.
So whenever I have a guest that I don't think works, it's because it's also about just jiving, man, and just hey. And you can tell right away, like, if someone's like talking too much, like I might be, or
you're fine.
We will let you know. We'd be like, why am I on mute? We'd be like, I don't understand.
No, you're fine.
Okay, thanks. If someone's like, what the beauty of an interview is conversation.
Sure.
It's about hanging out, chilling, having a
Yes.
conversation. It's not one-sided. It's not two-sided. And the beauty of an interview as an interviewer is you ask a question, you let them do the talking.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you're like, am I gonna get a word in here? I ask a question.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's like it's a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
And if I'm interviewing somebody that I think is not going to work out, I always try to take the Obama approach. Obama has this amazing ability to take tons of criticism and just be able to let it fall off his shoulder and engage. I remember watching his press briefings. I remember watching his during. I'm not going to get political. I'm just saying, like, there's a moment. There was that moment in 2009 when he was trying to get the healthcare bill in and all that. You could tell this guy was getting like hit hard, but he had this composure about him that never actually. He just like.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of, I kind of think about, it's weird that I think about that. It's weird that I think about Obama, but it's like, I'm like, you look at this guy who's like able to take on all this stuff and not be able to, so when you're interviewing somebody who's like not working out, you just kind of like, I don't know, I'm just like, all right, well, this is not going to work out. I'm going to make this the best thing I can do.
Yeah.
But I record my interviews, so if I don't think it's going to work, I listen to them after they're over.
Yeah.
If I don't think it's going to work out, I just don't put it up.
Yeah. Okay. The issue with us is, number one, we used to be live. So we used to be live, and that would be a lot harder for us to navigate. But also, because we're in different places, we meet a lot of the people who are on our show through social media. So sometimes, because I post a question on the Swirl Suite Instagram, and I was like, how do you determine that someone's going to be a good guest for your show? And one podcaster responded and said, yo, we spend 20 minutes talking to a guest before we even consider putting them on our show. That's the type of time that they, carve out before they bring somebody on the show. And I totally get it. I don't have it.
Yeah, we might have to start doing that.
You think so? You think so?
I mean, like, one of us, like, it's 5 of us. Like,
right.
somebody got 15 minutes.
Right.
I mean, and that's so much better than having somebody on and you ask them a question like, hey, so how'd you get into wine? Oh, I really like wine. I went in a wine shop and started drinking it.
Right. You're also, one of the things about wine is when you're not talking to a winemaker or somebody who's like desperate for, like, please drink my sherry and tell me my story. You're talking to a personality. You're talking to a type A. You're talking to somebody who has done something that they think is against all odds. And sometimes that will unfortunately bleed into, it turns into this, the ego can get away, it can run away with you. It gets, what am I trying to say? Ego gets in the way. And, when you're talking to people that have created something, they're great people that create things. It's really great. But there are people that create things that just like, all right, man, cool, thanks, good.
You have those. We actually have it. We've had it the other way where we've asked them questions and they're like, yes.
Ugh.
Okay. Not really.
Yeah.
I've done that before. It's like, oh my goodness, do you know words? Like, can you say more than yes or no?
And I get really irritated because, with especially with Tanisha being in Paris, like, she's waking up for the show. Time is money. We could have did the damn show by ourselves and been a lot more entertaining than having you on, wasting our fucking time. So it's like, yeah. Anyway,
no,
what you drinking tonight? Nothing.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. What?
Wine, it's white. No story.
Yeah.
Of course. It's tough. That's worse. I mean, I don't know what's worse. Is it worse to have someone who talks too much, or is it what you want to have?
I don't know. We've had both.
Edit someone down. I feel like if they talk too much, but if they're not saying anything, it's like, well, you gonna add in some in post production, or just like scrap the whole thing, like like do a voiceover, like just pause it and be like, okay, so what they really wanted to say is
like, wait, someone just hung up. Oh, the interviewer just
But
hung up.
and it's so funny because some people would be like so lit on Twitter, but they get on the show.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, switching gears a little bit. Please tell us about the 1992 white Zinfandel that you posted on Instagram on July 4th. Please tell us about
Time
that.
out.
Yeah,
Time
I
out.
said it.
What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Instagram right
didn't
now.
open it.
What?
Yeah, check it out. I don't really have a lot of work. So my wife is an artist, and she has some collectors, and one family who's been very supportive of her. They have a house out in Monmouth, New Jersey, and we are invited often to go out there for events. And I'm the wine guy, so everyone's like, Keith, I always bring wine, but then this time, one of the guests was like, so there's a bunch of wine in this one cabinet. We should, grab some, put them in the fridge, chill them down for dinner and all this stuff. So I just start rooting through the cabinet, and there it was.
Wow.
The thing is, like, I don't really know how it happened. I don't know how. And it was it Ernest and Gallo? Is that what it was? It was something like that. I don't know what to say. I'm just, it's like, you guys know that, the history of white Zinfandel. You know how it.
Sure. Yeah.
Is it a happy accident? We don't know. But it was sitting there, and I was like, this is a white Zinfandel from 1992. This is the height. This is when they just started figuring out how to really make it weird. This is like a
little video bomber in the back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's Obi. We just had to figure, like, this is what, like, in the 80s, the 70s, and the 80s, like, okay, we can get away with this. This is called blush. Before anything even happened, before Domaine Aunt was even in our world.
Right.
And it was in the 90s that they really figured out how to make it weird. This is when, white Zinfandel had, like, all the nasty, additions of, like, sugars and stuff like that. So it was just bizarre. I don't know. I did not open it.
You didn't?
I did not. I just, I was thinking about it, and I was going to, but I didn't, because there was other wine that was really great. We ended up having dinner, and then we just got around to it, but it's not going anywhere.
Okay, I found it.
It's there, and next time I'm there, I might just put that on ice and just see what's up. I mean, it's just because this is the kind of shit that I do. I'm curious about all kinds of weird stuff.
Sure.
I mean, I'll do it just because I'm a wine person.
Yeah.
And just be like,
that's gonna be weird.
Shit. But I tried it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh.
White Zinfandel cannot age. Yes. It's brown.
Ooh. I was gonna say this color is already out, because I pulled it up because I needed to know what was happening.
I tried to know.
Yeah. This might end up being salad dressing, but no, go ahead, open that up. See what's happening.
Take all the crusty bits off the pan.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was bizarre. It was bizarre. But that's the kind of stuff you're like, that's the kind of stuff. Maybe they've had that house for a long time. Maybe that's been there for that long. Maybe it's like a relic. It's like this thing that's been sitting in this dark cabinet for a long time. I don't know.
Wow. Well,
yeah, we putting a lot of hopes and dreams and pressure on that white Zin.
I hope you record when you open it.
And taste it. Like, I actually want to see the expression on your face.
Honest opinion.
Authentic expression on your face.
Yeah, I'll do a Facebook Live. Speaking of Facebook Live, a couple things. Don't know when it's going to happen, but it will. Okay, my wife and I were in Europe, and we were in Brussels, and we found this really amazing flea market. I don't know where in Brussels it was. I think it's the northern part of Brussels. And I found out that it was a very, very interesting. Flea markets or bazaars in Europe are just like so more interesting sometimes than we have in the United States. Like you see a barn in the United States, like that was built in 1800. Like, well, this was built in 500. So whatever.
Yeah.
But apparently this flea market is a accumulation of when people either pass away or their houses get sold in Europe, which is old. People go in and they root out their cellars and they find stuff and they sell. So these flea markets.
Oh wow!
I found a guy who had a box full of wine and couldn't tell what was on any of the bottles. I found one that had the neck still had a sticker on it saying speaking of 1992, it's a 1992 Savoie. So I assume it's a Gamay.
Yeah.
It looks good. It has not lost any moisture. It doesn't have any throw off really. It's very unique. And then there was another bottle. It was a Bordeaux shaped bottle with a red capsule and nothing on it. The label and everything gone. Glue remnants gone. It's just gone. I bought both of them for €10. And they're sitting in the offices of VinePair in a wine refrigerator right now. And at some point, I'm going to do a Facebook Live with Adam.
Wow.
And we're going to see what they taste like. Also, I went recently to Napa and Sonoma, which I had never really understood because having an Italian. My restaurant was Italian.
Mm-hmm.
My wine shop was international, but when you do under $20, you don't really get to do Stag's Leap.
Right.
You really sell Odeval. You don't really sell
right.
Stroke and stuff like that. So I never really understood what Napa and Sonoma are all about. So I had the opportunity recently to go out and check out that stuff. I mean, of course, the history is ridiculous. I went to the Stag's Leap. I was like, I'm in Stag's Leap. That's the thing right there. I'm here. It's amazing. That's where the stag went up and jumped over the thing, and the Indians chased up into the. It's amazing. So I was able to do that.
I feel like you probably like really did that. Like you really had a moment where you had to get a tissue and you were like, okay, this is happening.
Yeah, there's actually an Instagram photo of me next to the 73, and there might be a tear running down.
Oh my
I'm not
goodness.
really sure.
Back to your
I was able to go out there, and we were able to go to this place called Concrete Vineyards, the Concrete Vineyards, and they have a blending class. They have Cabernet Sauvignon from multiple sub-appellations of Napa, different terroir.
Okay.
And they have Cab, and they have a barrel of Merlot, a barrel of Petit Verdot, a barrel of Malbec. And they run you through a blending class. You literally get to go and access all these barrels and make your own blend.
Wow.
I've studied the science of blending, and I did a podcast on it. Like, I know what I'm talking about, but I just reiterated the science that I've learned over the years. And then here I am, essentially making this blend. And the blend has been sitting in VinePair's office for since I don't know. I was supposed to open it in June, and it's July. I've been busy, but it's another thing I'm going to do. I'm going to live podcast. And a very good friend of mine, Sarah Tracy, who has a blog called The Lush Life, and she actually writes for Martha Stewart as well. She was on the trip with me, and she's a fellow New Yorker, so I'm going to try to get her to come to the VinePair office with me and do a live opening of Did I Do It Okay?
Wow.
I did okay. I mean, I don't know what I did. I think it's
awesome.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
I blended something. It's crazy.
Right.
It was weird. I was like, oh my God, I'm blending. And it tastes good.
Shaking it up like I'm doing it, Mom.
Look, Mom, I'm blending.
Look, no hands.
I do that. Don't ask.
I won't. I promise you I won't.
So wait, we attend the Wine Bloggers Conference every year, and and we were in upstate a few years ago. Mm-hmm. Did you know about it? Do you like Finger Lakes or New York wine?
Oh yeah. Well, okay. What do I feel about New York wine? Should I be honest?
Be honest. Be honest.
I have mixed emotions about my state's wines.
Okay.
I was born in Syracuse. I'm a New Yorker, raised in the South, but I was born in Syracuse. I mean, really South, like Birmingham, Alabama, Tallahassee, Florida, and Montgomery County. Mm-hmm. But let me say this.
Tell us what part to edit. That's fine. Say what you feel.
Edit this. I'm no filter. So I think that the potato fields of Long Island, which have been turned into vineyards, is a very good idea. With the fact that Virginia wines are working is because you have, the reason why the hillbillies are hillbillies is because they couldn't grow anything. They had to shoot things and then cook them. So, the whole point of that's why, so when you have like if you have a place that has potato fields, obviously nothing else grows there. So that's why you have potato fields. Well, that's what Long Island was. And for, now 30 plus years later, we now have, because of the 1976 Farmer Winery Act, I think it's what it's called, that allowed people to actually have winemaking facilities on their property. Now the wine thing is happening. Now the problem I see is that there's no elevation. There's poor signal. The problem with New York, Long Island, is I believe, and this is going to sound really crazy because I love all wines, organic and conventional. I don't care. As long as the wine is good, I don't care how it's made. But the problem is, what I find is I'm very good. I'm friends with the people at Shin Estates Vineyards, which is a biodynamic, all solar paneled, everything. They just sold it. They're now off doing something else. But Shin Estates Vineyard was the first real organic winery out there to really make it happen. And when I went out there and I tasted their wines, I'm like, that's it. That's how you can make good wine in Long Island. You have to be organic.
Oh,
you cannot use synthetic pesticides. You cannot use synthetic fertilizers. You need to allow the vines to compete with the other weeds and stuff around it, because once a vine competes, that means that it has more. When a vine competes, it gives more structure to the grapes.
Right.
And you're in a space that has a ton of maritime influence. You have acidity levels that are higher than they should be. It's very hard to gain depth in Long Island wine. The only way to really do it is to add oak exposure. And if oak exposure is given, that's great, but it doesn't deal with the acidity levels.
Right.
Sometimes Merlots and Cabs and wines that come out of Long Island, as much oak as they put on it, as much as they try, the acidity is too high, and it messes with the depth. And I've always had a problem with that. And I don't mind drinking those wines, but when the price point is $30, high acid, no complexity wine that's been doped with oak, I'm not into it, man. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Now, as far as Finger Lakes is concerned, what I dig about the Finger Lakes was around before Long Island was around.
Okay.
The Finger Lakes, Manischewitz is the reason why Finger Lakes is famous, and the Concord grape and all that. The Finger Lakes is a little bit different. They can play around with the Riesling, they can play around with the Chenin Blanc. They can get those high acid. When that works out there, the elevation is higher and all that. But there's still an issue in the soil. The lake effect is really great out there. Where it's like when winter comes, the water's still warm, so it helps ripening the grapes. And when the summer comes, the lake is still cold, so it cools the grapes at night. That's all cool. But other than Dr. Constantine Frank did the good work. He found the best.
Sure.
There's good stuff out there, but I just when I'm thinking about we're wine lovers, right, guys?
Sure.
Yeah.
Wine. Let's be honest with ourselves. If you're gonna taste you're gonna taste a wine, and you're like, it's I can't. I gotta be honest with myself. I can't be that dude. It's like, oh, this is really good. You want to buy a bottle? No. I can't do it. Now, I will say there's a place in the far northern part of Finger Lakes called the Niagara Escarpment. And the Niagara Escarpment has beautiful wine. I don't know what's going on up there. If it's because of maybe there's like a little line of limestone somewhere in there. Some sort of beautiful drainage, capture nutrients thing going on. But Bloomer Creek, there's amazing stuff going on in the Niagara Escarpment, which is half in New York, half in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Now, I'm saying this, and all these New York winemakers are going to be emailing me going, "You're an asshole."
That's fine.
I will say there's great wine being made in these areas, but the problem is we're having an issue with acidity. I think there's an issue with acidity.
Okay.
I think that there needs to be something needs to be done about that. You know, but it's weird because it's the third largest wine producing region in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, everybody don't know
Yeah.
what's good and what's not. Yeah. Well, acidity is something that can at least, be fixed over time. Sarita and I taste a lot through Maryland and Virginia.
Sure.
And what we notice about Maryland, I mean, shout out to Maryland wine. They have definitely come a long way.
Yeah.
But they have a problem with consistency. I really want them to work on that. But their consistency of flavors from year to year. And I mean, I get it. It's wine, based on the growing season and all that. It will be different from year to year, but it shouldn't be that different.
Yeah. It
shouldn't be. I have no idea what's in this box. Yeah.
The difference is so drastic when you can love a winery one year and you go back that next year and you're like, oh, well, what happened? It's all that.
Right.
What happened?
Yeah.
It's
you tell all your friends
wine.
and then they're looking at you
right.
like you have sketchy judgment because you gave them a bad wine and you're like, no, the wine's delicious. Then you taste it, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Something happened.
The thing is that then maybe here's a theory, I guess. It sounds like what they should be doing is what the Europeans have done for centuries is if the vintage is not right, relegate it to something else. Make soap out of something. I don't know. Like is that the case? Like, do you think that like the vintages are so inconsistent that they're
well, I don't know how it is in New York, but distilleries are growing here. So some wineries that haven't been great, didn't really do well in the wine, they're turning in some spirits. So they're starting to specialize in spirits, that kind of thing, and cider is also becoming big. So I mean, they're trying to get creative, and also just focusing on their property, doing the weddings and the parties, and just doing venue stuff. So, does that frustrate you?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm getting married at the Biltmores. It's so fun, and we're gonna have Biltmore wine. Is it good? But it says Biltmore.
Yeah.
That's the one. Okay, this is one problem that I have with wine in America. If the soil says plant Dornfelder, plant Dornfelder.
Sure.
Oh my gosh! Please say that one more time because everyone did not hear you.
Exactly. If you force the soil
to grow Cabernet Sauvignon,
right?
People be like, "Oh my God, there's Cabernet here," but they'll drink it like this is crap, and then lost everything.
Right.
Yep.
Grow Dornfelder and make it the best damn Dornfelder in Maryland.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like people need to listen to their soil compositions, not to the popularity of a variety, and that is, I think, one of the things the United States needs to deal with.
And I didn't, you make a very good point because the wineries that do well in Maryland and even Virginia, they just do their damn homework. They're out there testing the soil. They're traveling to other countries that
bringing specialists in.
Right, exactly. Studying the climate. They're just trying to figure it out what's going to do well. They're not trying to grow California Cab in Maryland. They're trying to grow what's going to grow well in Maryland on their property.
Right. Let's be real. This is why Barbersville works.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
And it's my family.
Yeah.
And they know what they're doing. They're from Europe. They got it down. They have centuries and generations of experience.
Sure.
That wine is way too expensive, but damn, it's good.
It's very good.
It's good. I think Virginia. I mean, I'm really curious about Maryland. I want to try it. I mean, I'm from Damascus, Maryland. Like,
what's wine around there?
Listen,
like, south of Frederick.
Listen, if you're ever
it's wine up there, because in Frederick they have a few places
that's
that
where
are
the
doing
good wineries
some
are.
Amazing things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you look shocked. I'm telling you. One of us, Leslie, she's a part of the Swirl Suite. She has a business where she just does Maryland wine tours. So you and your wife got to come, and we got to show you around Maryland.
I would love to because I don't, when I left Maryland, when I left Maryland, the first microbrew phase had just waned. Like Market Street was all breweries and like, oh, let's go get hemp and ale, but and let's listen to Nirvana.
Yeah.
Different.
Yeah.
But I would love to try Maryland wine.
Yeah.
13 years of my life was in Maryland. I would love to.
Sure.
One thing I will say though, I am in love with the good wine I've had from Virginia.
Oh, sure.
Specifically,
Sure.
you guys had Linden?
Absolutely. Yeah, Linda's great.
Jim Law, you genius!
Yep.
Oh my God, that hard scrabble Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so well done.
Yeah.
And he gets it. See, he gets it. He's
Right.
like, hard scrabble country, potato fields.
Right.
He could slope. Fortunately, he has elevation. Long Island has elevation. He has elevation.
Yeah.
Jim Law is that stuff, like, forget about it. But unfortunately, here in New York, we can't get that.
Right.
Past Virginia, like to get Linden Vineyards is like special stuff for me. I visit my aunt and uncle in DC and have that stuff. So
yeah.
Well, holla at us in our DMs. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Absolutely.
speaking for Sarita because clearly I am useless to you for Virginia wine. You want some beignet? Holla at me. But well, not the Virginia beignet, but you know.
But no, we can definitely make that happen.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But with Virginia, they actually have more government assistance and more money coming to them
a lot more
for
support.
Research, and they have a lot more support because people are really getting behind them and the exploration process and, you know, helping them figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the government did a really good job a few years ago, really dumping some money into the wine industry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely, you know, what it takes. Because, I mean, if we think about it, California hasn't, like, America hasn't been doing wine well that long.
Yeah,
especially
you're right.
compared to, you know, old world, who's been doing it since the beginning of time. Right. California's been doing it for, you know, just several decades, not centuries.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 42 years old, and the wine industry of the United States is about a little bit older than I am.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like it wasn't until 1976 that anyone gave a shit about what we were doing.
Yeah,
exactly.
You're right.
It wasn't until the Judgment of Paris that we were even on the map. You know, and we have come a long way, and we are a country of many different palates. We're also a country of naivete for a long time there.
Yeah. Sure.
And all we liked was like sweet stuff. Like America liked sweet, full-bodied ass wine. The reason why Zinfandel is it was popular is because of that. I mean, we didn't have the sophistication, but it doesn't matter whether we did or didn't. But we just didn't. It's just the way it was.
Yeah.
I mean, Robert Parker, you know, he was the first one to be like, "This is what you should drink," and everyone's like, "Oh, he sounds smart. Let's do it."
Let's do it.
And then
let's do it. He gave it a score, and we were like, "Oh, okay, it's a number. All right, well, let's get that."
Right.
Scores freaked me out because I didn't do well in school, and he based it off the educational system, like A through F. I'm like, I don't want to talk. But then you had Martin Shankin started doing his thing, and Americans were like, I guess we should probably start understanding why.
Yeah.
And then the whole cult cab and cult Zen thing happened because in the 80s with all the rich people, all the boom, everyone had money, so the middle class was like, whatever the rich people are drinking must be good.
Right.
And it was just big, expensive, small production, high alcohol, oaked out wine. But it fell down to the middle class, and we're all like, well, that must be what's good. So like, it's kind of a mess, you know. But we're now finally getting it together. I think, you know, I mean, not really, but kind of. I don't know. We're actually expanding our palate. People are starting to look at acidity a little bit more in a favorable light, and people understanding that the less the weight on the palate is okay.
Right. Right.
So did I just ramble there?
No, you're fine. No, but so now we're gonna come to our fun questions now. So these are rapid fires. And I sent you the questions ahead of time, so you should know what you're going to say. Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we just have a few. What was the last movie you enjoyed? Not watched, but enjoyed.
That would be It's a horror movie. Is that okay?
Oh, okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Anything. Live your life.
Yeah.
Ouija, Origin of Evil.
Okay.
So glad I got my Google out.
Haven't seen that one.
Haven't heard of that one.
It's weird. I'm a real horror fan. It's like it's
Okay.
kind of weird.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Next question. When was the last time you lost your cool?
Okay. Just recently. We were coming home from that house with White Zinfandel, and we were on our way. There's a ferry from Monmouth, New Jersey, or just outside of Monmouth, to the city. And it was after July 4th. And I had bought myself, my wife, and our two friends had bought a round trip ticket. And we got there an hour early, got into the front of the line. All was good. The boat shows up, the ferry shows up, doors open, and they say, only 10s and 40s. I'm like, what's 10s and 40s? What does that mean? Apparently, it's like buying an MTA card, like a 10 ride or a 40 ride thing.
What?
They let a crowd of people on. They started telling all these people. So we were all relegated to this other area. We're like, we need to get. I had to open the wine shop I'm working at, helping out it, and the boat was filled up, and it left, and we were stuck in Monmouth, New Jersey. We had to get on a shuttle, go to a separate area, and get on the boat there. And that was one of those moments where it was good to have owned businesses. It was good to have, like, I was losing my cool, but I was like, excuse me.
That's the way you know how somebody is about to lose it and they are on the edge. As soon as you like,
what are the next stop?
Excuse me.
Will we go? Can you see in my eyes?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you held it together. You ain't flip out. Start throwing stuff in the water.
We were all good. We were all flipping out. But I was trying to be like, I was flipping out on the inside.
Okay.
Trying to be like, the cool guy. But it was tough, man. It was.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Okay.
Rise above.
Really quick. Like I said in my email, everybody in New York has wine drinkers anyway, have really extensive wine collections at home. Where do you drink outside of your house in New York?
Oh, well, I have some. It used to be my wine bar, but I have some places that I love to go here in the city. Did you want me to just throw down on some?
Yeah, just give me like 2 or 3.
Okay. One place is really great and very affordable. It's called Amelie, like the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's on West 8th Street, and it's it's really affordable. It's owned by these two really cool Parisian dudes, and they have their happy hour flight is like
happy hour flight.
They pour
I like the sound of that.
heavy. They pour heavy. It's like $12 flight from 5 to 7, and it's the wine list is incredible. The meat and cheese plates are incredible. It's just a laid-back, cool, easy-drinking place.
Okay.
Another place that's one of my favorite wine bars in the city, and my wife's, is called the 10 Bells. It's in the Lower East Side. It's been around for a very long time, but it's consistent, and it's now I will say it's all organic, all French, all not all natural, but it's funky stuff. But they're cool about it. They're not like they're not pretentious. Yeah. It's cool. It's cool. You go there, but what's cool is they have the Parisian bistro wine glasses. Like you could buy $150 bottle of wine, and they're gonna pour you in the bistro glasses from Paris. They're also Parisian. Fifi is the owner. Fifi is his name, but he's like huge. The third place is brand new, but a very good friend of mine opened it up. It's here in the East Village on 7th Street. It's called Ruffian, Ruffian. Patrick is one of the most eclectic wine geeks I've ever known. He is this guy. This wine bar is incredible because it has no kitchen. Like no kitchen. It has a bathroom, a bar, and that's it. You can barely fit in it. It's a sliver of a place. But they have a chef. the chef is behind the bar. He has an incredible pedigree. The guy worked at Booley. He worked at Delaney, some really great restaurants here in New York City. And he makes all the food behind the bar. And he does like inductions, ovens. He does sous vide. He does in the food, like Michelin star style food. He does behind the bar with no kitchen. And Patrick has a wine list that is again, I'm going geeky. I'm sorry. That's why I mentioned Amelie, because some people may not want this geeky stuff. But like, Patrick is this guy who will engage with every customer. It's the wine bar is just a bar. That's all it is. You can't really fit anything else. He engages with every customer. He's nice. He's complimentary. The people that he employs are awesome, and they will get you into something you've never thought you would be into. Mm-hmm. And if you don't like it, they're cool with it. But he does a lot of wine. A lot of funky stuff from Hungary, from Georgia, from Slovenia, from Croatia, but he also does like funky stuff from California, but it's where I go to cold max, relax, and drink outside of my apartment.
Nice,
cool.
Nice, yeah. Awesome. Okay, so last question. One drink, one song. You're having a really fucked up day. You get in a fight with your wife. You get a flat tire. You're late to a class.
Electricity goes out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You're late to a class and it has to be canceled. Just a really bad day. One drink and one song. Give it to me.
Okay. Because it's summer, I am really into Beaujolais right now. Mm. And whether it's Cru or Village, I'll probably do Cru. Probably do Fleury. Chill that down for about 45 minutes and drink it slightly chilled. And one of the most chill songs I've heard in quite some time that I've been listening to over and over again is a song by Burner. He's a Arizona-based hip-hop artist. And he had an album that came out in 2015 called 20 Lights. And he did a song with Wiz Khalifa called OT. And it is probably the most chill song ever created.
Okay. And what's the artist's name again?
Burner, Berner.
Oh, okay.
And he's him and Wiz Khalifa are actually business partners. He's part of the whole what is it called? Tyler, I can't remember Wiz Khalifa's record label, but Tyler, I'm sorry, I can't remember it.
Okay.
But he's part of the whole crew, and there's this song is it is probably one of the most chill songs I've heard in a very long time, and I've been listening to it over and over again. If I'm having a bad day, a glass of Beaujolais and OT, and I'm good.
Nice.
Excellent.
Well,
thanks for participating.
Yes, your answers were awesome. You are a great guest.
Yeah.
And thank you for joining the Swirl Suite. This was really fantastic.
This was so awesome, guys. And of course, this was so great.
Yeah.
I look forward to this Maryland thing's a good idea. We should work on it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And also, Keith, before we go, can you just tell everybody where they can find you online? I don't know if you did that yet. Where do we see?
I've never done this before. This is so great. Yes. Yes, my name is. What am I doing?
Where everybody can find you on social media.
Where we can find you on social media, online. We want to get more from you. Tell us where to get it.
You can find me on iTunes. The podcast is called Wine Schooled. It's the wine podcast for the everyday wine lover. You can find me on Instagram at Keith is Wine Schooled. I'm on Twitter at Wine Schooled. I'm on Facebook at Wine Schooled, and I have a website called www.wineschooled.com, and that's me.
And he spells Wine School with a K, by the way.
If you can say that school is SKOOL.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's how you spell school.
Yeah.
It's a New York thing. you know.
Yeah. So he gets down.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna follow you everywhere.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. This has been awesome. It's been really nice wine geeking it out with you today.
Awesome. It's been great. I look forward to throwing this all over the internet as best I can.
Yeah. Love it.
Cool.
All right. Well, you're going to have a good night, Keith. We appreciate it.